Jai Sundari Jai
It's
Radha
choppy though. It's
Krishna
choppy. It's choppy, at least for me. Maybe not anyone else.
Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Rajadana Vandana Yashodanandana Rajadana Vandana Yashodanandana Rajadana Vandana Yashodanandana Rajadana Vandana Yamuna Jira Vanatari Yamuna Jira Vanatari Yamunatira Vanasa Yamunatira Vanasa Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Nitai Gora Sundara Nitai Gora Sundara Gora Nitai Gora Sundara Nitai Gora Sundara Gora Jaya Lalita Vishaka Lalita Vishaka Shirani Lalita Vishaka Lalita Vishaka Shirani Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Ram Vishnupada Paramamsa Jaya Asata Satashi Srimad Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramamsa Jaya Asata Satashi Srimad Divine Grace. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharshi Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Gaudiya Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. This confounded Chai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhumani Chananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopavana Shamakun Radhakun Gita Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gita Nagari Dham Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Hare Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the Sum devotees. All glories to the Sum devotees. All glories to the Sum devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna devotees, dear Vaishnavas. So we're continuing in the seventh chapter of the seventh canto, the title What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. And this is text 30 and 31. Guru Shushushaya Bhaktya Sarvalabdha Prananena Cha Sangena Sadhu Bhaktanam Ishvara Radhanena Cha Shrayatat Patayam Cha Kirtaner Guna Karmanam Tat Padam Buruha Jnanat Kalinge Sarhani Nadibi. Would anyone else like to try?
Guru Shrushaya Bhaktya Sarva Labharpanena Cha Sangena Sadhu Bhaktaram Ishvara Radhanena Cha Shradhaya Tat Katayam Cha Kirtanar Guna Karmanam Tat Padam Buruhat Dhyanat Talingekshar Hanadibihi.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word. Guru Shrushaya, by rendering service to the bona fide spiritual master. Bhaktya, with faith and devotion. Sarva, all. Labdha, of material gains. Arpana, arpana, arpanena, by offering to the Guru or to Krishna through the spiritual master. Cha, and. Sangena, by the association. Sadhu, bhaktanam, of devotees and saintly persons. Ishvara, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aradhanena, by the worship. Cha, and. Shradhaya, with great faith. Tat katayam, in discourses about the Lord. Cha, and. Kirtanai, by glorifications. Guna karmanam, of the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord. Tat, his. Pada Ramburuha, on the lotus feet. Dhyanat, by meditation. Tat, his. Linga, forms, deities. Iksha, observing. Arhana, adibi, and by worshiping. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. And in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly, according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the previous verse, it has been said that the process which immediately increases one's love and affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best of the many thousands of ways to become free from the entanglement of material existence. It is also said, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. Actually, the truth of religious principles is extremely confidential. Nonetheless, it can be understood very easily if one actually adopts the principles of religion. As it is said, Dharmam tu shakshad bhagavat pranitam. The process of religion is enunciated by the Supreme Lord because he is the supreme authority. This is also indicated in the previous verse by the word Bhagavato Gita. The injunctions or directions of the Lord are infallible, and their benefits are fully assured. According to his directions, which are explained in this verse, the perfect form of religion is Bhakti Yoga. To practice Bhakti Yoga, one must first accept a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-274-75 advises, Guru Padashrayas Tasmat Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam Vishrambena Guru Shela Sadhu Vartmana Nuvartana Sadharma Pracha Bogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetali. One's first duty is to accept a bona fide spiritual master. The student or disciple should be very inquisitive. He should be eager to know the truth about eternal religion, Sanatan Dharma. The words Guru Shushrushaya mean that one should personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts, helping him in bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Shushru Shanam. It's called Guru Shushru Shanam. A disciple should serve the spiritual master as a menial servant, and whatever he has in his possession should be dedicated to the spiritual master. Pranir Artar Diya Vacha. Everyone has his life, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words, and all of them should be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the via medium of the spiritual master. Everything should be offered to the spiritual master as a matter of duty, but the offering should be made to the spiritual master with heart and soul, not artificially to gain material prestige. This offering is called arpana. Moreover, one should live among devotees, saintly persons, to learn the etiquette and proper behavior of devotional service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that whatever is offered to the spiritual master should be offered with love and affection, not for material adoration. Similarly, it is recommended that one associate with devotees, but there must be some discrimination. Actually, a sadhu, a saintly person, must be saintly in his behavior sadhava, sadachar. Unless one adheres to the standard behavior, one's position as a sadhu, a saintly person, is not complete. Therefore, a Vaishnava, a sadhu, must completely adhere to the standard of behavior. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that a Vaishnava, a person initiated into the Vaishnava cult, should be offered the respect befitting a Vaishnava, which means that he should be offered service and prayers. However, one should not associate with him if he is not a fit person with whom to associate. Om Gina Timanandasya, Gina Gina Shilakaya, Shakshuan Tanyena, Tasmai Shri Gurube Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stabhitamena Bhutale, Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadanti Swa Parantikam. Hey Krishna Kuran Sandhu, Dinabandhu Jagadpate, Gopisha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostate. Nama Om Vishnu Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swamini Tinamane. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Sritatmane. Shri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Itinamane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale. Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadane. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachada Sachadane. Vanchakapa Trubhischa Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Papavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Vaishnavas. Thank you so much for your presence. Um, so, Srila Prabhupada immediately in the purport, he goes on to the previous verse, which is kind of connected with today's verse. So I'll just read that very quickly. This was the verse that Dhruva Maharaj gave on great class on Monday. And that's text 29. Of the different processes recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duty by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. So in the next verse, the two verses that we're doing today, 30 and 31, Narada Muni is explaining that process. And so he says that one must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. So he's given the path, Bhakti Yoga, and now he's starting to explain more about the process, and that the initial first step is Guru Parashraya, and that is taking shelter of the lotus feet of Guru, of a bona fide spiritual master, and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Now, can anyone tell me what verse this sounds like actually from Bhagavad Gita? That statement about the spiritual master. Anyone? give you a hint. Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Tadvidi pranipatena. Right? Just try to learn the truth from the spiritual master. He can impart knowledge into you because he has seen the truth. Self-realized soul. Let me see. I don't remember the exact words, but I'll pull it up real quick. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, to inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So this verse we're doing today is very similar to that statement. So he's speaking almost exactly Krishna's words, which is befitting a Mahajan. And also the rest of the verse, which is mostly 31, he's explaining something that he's already mentioned before. When he spoke a couple of chapters back, he spoke about the 9 processes of devotional service. And here in today's verse, he gives, from what I can see, about 5 of those processes here. Now, earlier he was speaking to his father, and his father was asking him what was the best thing he learned in school today from his teachers. And so he gave him the 9 processes, explained that to him. And here he's teaching his students and his classmates, and he's sharing this similar thing. So he's saying, whatever, he also explains, whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. So that sounds to me like Atmanivedanam, to surrender everything. So whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. The spiritual master is not different than Krishna. That one should worship the spiritual master as good as God. So that reminded me of that verse. I mean, that one of the 9 processes, Atmanivedanam. And then he says, and in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord. So that's Shravanam and Kirtanam. And always meditated on the Lord's lotus feet. That's Padasevanam. And then the last one, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. So that's Archana, deity worship. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that it is also said, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. Actually, the truth of religious principles is extremely confidential. And that point is expressed in different places. This verse that he quotes is coming from the son of Dharmaraj or Yamaraj himself in the Mahabharata, Vana Prarva 313, 117. And in that statement, Yudhisthira says, simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the sastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajans advocate. And of course, Prahlad himself is one of the Mahajans. And so he's saying that it's the that the most confidential, extremely confidential aspect of this process is locked up in the heart of pure devotees. And so this group, Pada Ashraya, is so significant. I mean, we can't underestimate it. I mean, there's no way to become completely Krishna conscious or to get back to Godhead without the shelter and the mercy of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And so that is the very first thing that Prahlad Maharaj is teaching to his classmates about Bhakti Yoga. And also in the Narada Bhakti Sutra 574-75, there's another statement about that one should not engage in argumentative debate. Such argumentation leads to excessive entanglements and is never decisive. So it's looking into and basically not just knowledge or the sastras and so on, but actually application of such. And so it's explained here, actually very powerfully, very intimately, the types of services that one should perform for the spiritual master. And the purport, Prabhupada says even the bodily needs of the spiritual master, bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Guru Shushrusana, rendering devotional service to the bona fide spiritual master. And so also in that purport of the Narada Bhakti Sutra, Satsuru Maharaj quotes Bhagavatam 10:14-29, which makes a similar point. But it also highlights the mercy factor. That, quote, "My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years." So emphasizing the importance of devotional service via the spiritual master. Also in Bhagavad Gita 9:2, it also talks about confidential knowledge. That Rajavidya Rajaguyam. This knowledge is the king of education and king of confidential knowledge. So there is no education in it that is more powerful. There's no process that is more powerful. Nothing can liberate one from this material world and go back to Godhead without Guru and without pleasing the Guru. There's a statement that I've heard Tamal Krishna Maharaj give. He said that Krishna's mercy follows the devotee, and because the devotee is distributing Krishna consciousness in the mood of Lord Chaitanya, on the order of Lord Chaitanya, um, the devotees become like Vartma Padarshika gurus, helping others, giving out books, sharing knowledge, enlightening people, opening their eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. And now, of course, so devotees are giving people the opportunity to come in contact with the path, which is a type of guru in that sense. Uh, but the real mercy is locked up in the heart of the pure devotees. And that's the real benediction in the heart of the guru. So if we serve him with our hearts, heart and soul, as it says in the purport, then we can attract the mercy of the spiritual master, which is the most sacred gift of pure love from his heart to our heart. So that's extremely confidential. I mean, and it's when you think of the word confidential, uh, it means like you can know somebody to some degree, right? You can know where someone lives, um, kind of car they drive, what's their favorite food, or whatever. But it's not so easy to really understand what's happening in the heart or the mind of a person unless it's revealed. So we can read and know all the sastras, even know them by heart, but by heart is not as important as within the heart. Knowing Krishna within the heart is different than knowing Shastra about Krishna by heart. I mean, both is best, obviously, but with a choice, I mean, within the heart is that extremely confidential connection, that we're all striving for, that mercy of the pure devotee by pleasing the spiritual master. And in the verse, early on in the first sentence of the purport, Prabhupada explaining that Krishna is given so many thousands of ways to approach him, to get out of the entanglement of material existence. And within all the scriptures, there's some hint at what is actually the highest form of religion and perfection as love of God. But uh, most of these scriptures don't give you the Rajavidya or the Rajaguyam so clearly. It's not clearly understood. Um, and that's even rarely attained amongst devotees. And, and it can only be accessed through the mercy of the bona fide Guru Para Ashraya, the shelter of lotus feet. So by that loving service, following the instructions of the spiritual master, following the process of sadhana bhakti, maintaining our vows, our progressive cleansing of our hearts, following with heart and soul, then we're able to actually access that most confidential knowledge in Krishna's time, in Guru's time. There's many tests that the disciple has to experience and pass in order to achieve the goal. And ironically, achieving the goal is different. I mean, it's different than just, like if you become a doctor, you train under a doctor. You train under someone who's expert, someone who is authorized, someone who's actually also been trained. So like that, it's like a disciplic succession in one sense. But this is uh, the process of devotional service, the process of bhakti yoga, process of guru parashraya is the most extremely, very confidential aspect of life. And it really, the heart of it is the heart connection with Guru. So I'm going to read the verse again and see if there's any comments or questions anyone has, or any elucidations someone wants to give. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. And in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. Devaki Priti, I see your hands up.
Thank you so much, Dad, for your class, and thank you for giving us the important essence of taking shelter of the spiritual master. I love that point that you said about like we can know Sastra by heart, but we want to know actually like from our heart, know Krishna that way and know Guru that way and be connected by our hearts. And my question is, how do we know in our hearts that we are pleasing our spiritual master, that we're living our life in a way that they would be pleased? If we might not be able to like physically see them as much to like be able to inquire like, like face to face, how can we know that we are pleasing them and advancing as they would want us to? Thank you.
Very good question. When we take initiation, it's really, initiate means to begin. So we're actually beginning the process when we are initiating, although it's informally, we've already begun, but the formal initiation process is there. So one understands the process. So it really is, it's also emphasized that we're, our line is a line of shiksha. So actually most important is the instructions rather than the bapu. The Vani is more important than the bapu. Because the Vani is always there. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada, he's here physically in his Murti form, but most powerful is his Vani. And so in this verse, it talks about in the association of certain saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord and hear the glories of the Lord. So, like being in Bhagavatam class regularly, one can learn amongst the association of devotees. One can hear the sastra. One can get more and more instructions and education. And it says, hear the glories of the Lord with faith. So with that faith, because one is being attentive and really sincerely taking in what's being spoken by the sastra, then one can practice and apply that um, within the association of saintly persons and devotees. And so one of the ways we can use as a check and balance, so we have Guru Sadhana Sastra, but also Devaki Priti, your own spiritual master, said that 90% of our advancement is through association because we learn from each other. There's so many ways that we learn from each other. We learn from observing others' examples. We also learn from what they share, how they handle situations, their experiences. It kind of there's always a subtle exchange in every connection with people. So the more we surround ourselves with Krishna's devotees, then we're picking up on that energy of devotion that is there, which is one of the reasons we love going to Bhakti Yoga Center. Okay. There's so much wonderful association and so much absorption in the holy name. So that's one of the ways, by using the check and balance system, checking in with each other and being constantly within the association of devotees. Thank you for that question. Does that help, or does anybody want to add to that, or is that good? You good?
Yeah, that helps. I think the other thing that you said is can take shelter of their instructions, and I that can be, I guess, whether it's directly to you or if it's a general instruction that you might have heard or like heard from a lecture. You can also take that as well as the points you said. So yeah, thank you. I think the thing that set me most is association of devotees, and if you're around sincere devotees, that also will help you. They can help, the guru can speak through whoever they choose, so you also can get instructions through sincere devotees that are medium for speaking on behalf of the spiritual master. So thank you so much.
Yes, I hear my guru speaking through you, so thank you. Yes, and we can also pray to the guru. We can pray, and that's that's one way that we can really, really sincerely um, reach out, because it's like a heart-to-heart sharing. You know, dear Guru Dev, please help me. You know how much I'm struggling. You know, with this and with that. I mean, please help me. Please give me more faith and more surrender to be more serious. And if we can always be in that prayerful mood, then when the opportunities come, if we're sincere, then we can take them up.
Thank you so
Shanavatala.
much.
Oh, you had something else, David?
I
Okay,
was just
Jana.
saying thank you. Please go, Jana.
Hi Krishna, good morning, dear devotees. Thank you for the class, Dad. I wanted to share one visual that came to mind during your class. this word pada ashraya was discussed. So like ashraya, shelter, pada, the feet, taking shelter of the guru. And what came to mind is the prayer, pranam prayer to Srila Prabhupada. Part of the translation is, he's dear to Krishna having taken shelter at his lotus feet. So I was just imagining, like, you know, when we take shelter of something, like sometimes you may take shelter of like a cave or like a home or something from the cold, or you might take shelter of a blanket. So I was just envisioning like the blanket of the Lord's lotus feet, like if the guru is underneath there taking shelter, if you go and take shelter underneath their lotus feet, you're also under that blanket and sheltered, and warm and safe. So just thought about that image.
Nice. Nice. Thank you. Yes, that's an example. That's a wonderful example. Because the guru is under shelter. If we take shelter under the lotus feet, then we're also under the shelter that the guru is under. Under. So yes, wonderful. Yeah. And what is it? Cheto Darbana Marjanam, that we're always trying to cleanse the mirror of the heart. And that's the other thing with being in association of devotees. We are like mirrors for each other, you know, and Krishna and Guru are always speaking through devotees, even when devotees aren't speaking. You know, that the heart is being impacted and given the opportunity to cleanse. And so this we can't really overstate the importance of the heart connection with Guru. It's the heart of the matter. I mean, and it's the heart of the spirit. Any other comments or questions? We have a lot of time left, so if anyone else wants to give some extra elucidation, I made my attempt, but if you want, please offer something. One other thing I was thinking
There's a
about.
hand raised, Dad.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Hari Chakra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandava Pranam, all glories to you, all glories to Gurudev, and glories to Prabhupada. Thank you. Thank you for your class. My attention is drawn to the particular phrase that you keep saying. You repeated it several times. Now you should take shelter at the feet of the Guru. Now we know that even materially, like in ordinary life, if even you go to school and you have your degree, you might have a very big degree, but yet when you go to a job, when they take you in, it's like they accept you in a job. They don't just say that you have such a big degree, so just go on and start working. They still train you on the job. They give you training on the job because even they understand that uh, the practical application on the ground, sometimes it's a little bit different from the what do you call it? The degree that you have achieved in school. So we are hearing that we should surrender to the feet of the guru, and we get the theory, yeah. But can you give us a little bit more detail, as if we are like if we are being trained on the job? How practically are we supposed to be able to uh, say that we are taking shelter at the feet of the guru?
That's a good question. And it it may look different for each devotee or disciple, but the core is the same, and that is um, sincerely trying to please the guru. So, and because the heart is is full of so many unclean things, the process of purification takes time. So, um, getting the job or getting initiated is one step. But then there's, like you said, there's so much on the job training that's still required because the heart still needs to be cleansed. You know, uh, when we take initiation, the plug of the fan of karma is unplugged, but that fan is still moving even though the plug is unplugged. And so we still have to go through the process of cleansing the heart. And the best way is by actually pleasing the Lord, pleasing Guru continually. And that may look different at different times in one's life. Um, and one clear example, for example, is Tarka Prabhu. There were so many ways that he used his physical body in service for Srila Prabhupada. And now at this stage of his life, his service looks a lot different, you know, but it's still complete absorption in how can I serve my Guru Maharaj? You know, what would be pleasing to him? And in that way, he's making that heart connection. His endeavors are how can I please Srila Prabhupada? What would be best for his mission? And how can I use my time, my energy, and whatever I possess, as it says in this verse, whatever possessions I have, as an offering to the spiritual master. And even the word possession is really something. It's really, what do we possess? I mean, everything has been given by Krishna. This body, you know, everything we've had. So, in one sense, it's actually um, acknowledging what's already true, that anything we have is already Krishna's, and if we can just use those things in Krishna's service, use those things in Guru service, including our minds, you know, our emotions, you know, our thoughts, you know, our cell phones, you know, our fingers as we scroll, you know, because I remember Tarka Prabhu was saying how uh, that whatever we put our attention on is what we're associating with. So the time that we spend doing something, like for example on the phone, It should have a purpose, a clear purpose, even though there's so many distractions, popping up. You're just using the phone. But before we even pick up the phone, we should be clear, what is the purpose? And use it for that purpose, and that purpose only, and whatever service that we're doing. So it's constant on the job training, because the mind is chanchala. We have mixed desires. So there's so much that cleansing that needs to go on, and by engaging in the process and engaging in sadhana bhakti and engaging in shravanam kirtanam, in the association of devotees as far as possible, then we can purify our hearts and gradually, under the shelter of Guru, cleanse all the dust that is there by the mercy of Guru. Prabhu, I don't know if that really answered your question, but
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It did. But in the course of answering the question, when you again made a reference to the text that says that whatever we have must be used in the service of so when you make a reference that whatever we have must be used in the service of the Lord. Let's say, take for instance, like if you bring me something.
you're muted. Prabhu, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like take for instance, like if Japanese gives me something to hold, you give me something to keep for you, and then I begin in my mind. I'm thinking that I have to use this thing for in the service of Jagannath Pandit, and I'm thinking, oh, what I begin to think that I have that thing. That thing belongs to me, and because of that, I have to use it in the service of Jagannath Pandit. That does it really make sense? The thing doesn't even belong to me. You have given me the thing to hold for you, to take care of it for you, and I'm thinking that, oh, this is what I have, and I have to use it to serve Jagannath Pandit. So when the text is saying that we should use whatever we have in the service of the Lord. Can you go further and explain it a little bit more? Because that if the scripture is saying that we don't owe anything, because in your when you were giving the class, you said it along the line that even the body that is here now, we have now, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. So it looks like practically Krishna has given us these things to hold for him, to keep it on his behalf. And yet we are thinking that, oh, I have this thing and I have to use it for the service of Krishna. Can you do you get the question I'm asking?
I think so. Of course, you can give a better answer, but um, we're not really possessing. We say possessions, but really we're caretaking. Just even like with our mates, anything that we have, we're caretaking, and everything should be used in the service of the spiritual master. So, like, We all each have different facilities that we have, you know, we have house, we have family, we have different things that we use, vehicles and so on. We have a kitchen, a stove, and so many things. And we're engaging all these things all for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. It's all being used in different ways in service. So I drove my car here today to give the class. Um, and I also go and get other items at the store so I can cook something to make and offer it to deities and so on. So, but yeah, if I think it's like mine, really my possession, then it's like I'm infusing it with, an attachment that's not with the proper consciousness. That really I'm just the caretaker and using things in Krishna's service. So I'm sorry uh, if you are not satisfied with the answer, but actually Radha Damodar is making their appearance. So now
Okay.
I'm going to
Hare
use
Krishna.
my
Hare Krishna.
voice and glorifying the Lord. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpati Vishaka Prasanabheva Chapatitana Pameva Vaishnaveva.
Vaishnava Bhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai, Namo Namaha.
Grantarashya Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai.